Hello and welcome to our video on story structure. Today we're going to be looking at some of the different ways in which you can structure your story, what those different elements involve, and how it applies to a particular example. The example I'm going to use today is one of my daughter's favourite films, Moana. So there's a variety of different theories about story structure, and there's lots of different models and so on that are used. You get like 3-act, 5-act, the hero's journey and so forth. And the method that I use is kind of it's a kind of mix-up of all of them. I read recently John Yorke's Into the Woods, and it discusses in quite some depth the different structures and actually how they all they basically merge into one. But there's a whole variety of ways of structuring your story. I guess though the common elements that you find in all good stories are very similar, and those are the ones we're going to discuss today. So we've got our different story structure elements here. These are the ones which make up the backbone or the spine of your story. I'm going to start off with the first one, which is the main character's world. Sometimes called the exposition or the ordinary world. This is where we get a sense of how the character is now at the start of the book, because this is what we're going to measure the growth of the character, the whole character arc throughout the book. We're going to measure it against what we first see at the beginning of the book. Now, in terms of structure, we need to identify who the character is, what they want, what their life's like at the moment. But obviously, and we'll talk about openings in a different video, but obviously you've still got to make that engaging and with conflict and tension so that you can grab the reader at that stage. The next stage is sometimes called the call to action or the inciting incidents, probably what you more commonly know it as. And that is the point in the story where everything changes for the character. Okay, so something has occurred which is going to enable them to not go back to how their life was at the start. They have to make a choice at this stage, and they can choose to move forward, or they can choose to stay in their ordinary life, but it's not going to be the same because of this incident. So if we're looking at our example, which is going to be Moana, her ordinary life is being the heir to the island. She's brilliant around the island. She's engaging, enthusiastic. Everyone loves her, and she actually has a really amazing life and role and so on. But that is not what she wants. That is not what she is meant for. But the amazing thing is, even though that's just the initial setting up phase, the story's still full of conflict and tension, between her and her dad, and her desire to go to the ocean and to sail off and explore, and her dad's very against that, and that creates that initial tension. And there's also that inner conflict with Moana at the start as well, because yes, she wants to be near the ocean, she wants to be on the sea, but also she knows she has that responsibility to her people, and she cares so much about that as well, that is what keeps her there initially. But the inciting incident of Moana is where the grandmother passes on, and when she dies, Moana takes that as a sign that things have got to change. She's got to respect her grandma's encouragements and last wishes and so on for her, and she uses that as the spark to get her off the island. And of course we see the beautiful scene where the grandma is reincarnated, and you see her swimming beneath the ocean as Moana comes out as well, and it's a beautiful moment, but it's all the more powerful because of that initial conflict that we had in the ordinary world of Moana before she passed that inciting instant, and then everything changed from then on. She can't go back to her old life, she's got to move forward, and she's made the choice to move forward, which is important. She has a lot of agency in the story. So the next phase of story structure is about the rising action. So this is where we start putting up our series of roadblocks and conflicts and obstacles, things which are going to stop our major character from getting what it is they want. Now for Moana, in her situation, she wants to find Maui. That's her first goal. So the obstacles for her are obviously the ocean itself, storms and so on. She's an inexperienced sailor and so forth. And then when she meets Maui, he is not who she expected him to be. In fact, he's not interested at all in helping her, and actually steals her boat and disappears after locking her in the cave. But we know that Moana will overcome these obstacles. And the great thing about the story structure there is it's getting us to root even more for her and her goal and objective and journey, because we're making those obstacles really difficult. She's up against a demigod, and she's up against been locked in a cave. She has to climb out. We see her resourcefulness, her grit, her determination, all those admirable qualities in her character that make us want to cheer her on for the rest of the film. And those conflicts and obstacles just continue to rise. You know, they come up against the little coconut people. I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but they come up against them, and they've got to battle against them. And then Tomatoa as well, the big crab. They've got to go and get his hook from him, and all the while actually Moana's battling with Maui's resistance as well. She's trying to wear him down and convince him to be the hero that deep down he is, but he has forgotten and has become resentful of because of the way his life's been going recently. And so we get this series of rising conflicts and crises, and they all build up towards a climax. Now the initial climax is when they come up against the car and they lose. Okay, and that's a normal part of story structure, is to come up against that deadliest foe but to lose the first time. And then the moment that they drift back into is often called the darkest hour, and it's the point where everything is lost, all is lost, I think it's called in some story structures as well, and there's nothing that Moana at that point feels that she can do. And again, it takes the inspiration of her grandma, her reincarnated grandma, to give her that spark back, that ignition that she needs to go back and say, no, I'm not giving up, I'm going to give this a go again. And Maui, of course, at this point, his character's grown so much that he also comes back as well and helps her in this final epic climax against Te Kā. And they eventually overcome it. And interestingly, it's not... They don't overcome Te Kā in the way that you expect them to, and that's what's clever and so on about the film, is that they use Moana's growth as a character, where she has identified the goodness in Maui and she's broken him down, and she's managed to turn him into the hero that he could be. She identifies that in Te Kā and she says, actually, I can see the goodness in you. And then that's obviously where we have that special moment where the seas part and she puts the heart back into Tafiki, and and we have the beautiful moment at the end, and we have what's called the resolution. So that's where we've had the crisis points, we've had the climax, the final battle, and then we go into what's called the resolution, and that is just basically the tying up of the loose ends. In Moana's case, it's where her and Maui part ways. Maui's character growth is that he's become a better man, he's going to become a hero, blah blah blah. Te Kā's obviously got the heart restored, and the whole world's been saved from that point of view. And we have the touching moment where Moana goes back to her island, to her people, and is reunited with her family. And the best moment for me is then that her actions have affected her people so much that they all then take back to the sea and become explorers once again. And I mean, the story structure is all there. That's part of what makes the film brilliant. I mean, to be honest, Moana is one of the best characters I think that has ever been written. Her agency and her drive throughout the whole film is what makes her such a rootable character. You just want her to succeed all the way through. And although it's a Disney movie and so on, it's still especially well written, and as you can identify all the different story structure points as you watch it. So just a quick recap, these are the main story structure aspects that we're looking for. You can have a look through those in your own time. You can read some books. There's loads and loads of great books on story structure which can help you. Some of my favourites are the John York book that I mentioned earlier on, Into the Woods. Donald Mast does a great series of books on stories and structure. writing the breakout novels, brilliant. So is the Emotional Craft of Fiction, so many good books from him. If you're looking for a course to do where they will teach you about structure in a far more in-depth way than I've discussed in this video, Writers HQ have got 2 courses, Plot Stormers 1 and Plot Stormers 2. Both are excellent. Plot Stormers 1 is for those who are maybe starting out, Plot Stormers 2 is more for those who are revising the novel, but both are well worth the value. I attribute the course that I did with them and the things that I learnt on structure and plot as a big reason why I eventually got an agent and a publishing deal, so that's how highly I rate it. So check them out as well. I'll put a wee link below. And so that's all we need to know about story structure. Put those things in place, and you're going to hit the right beats at the right time. There's obviously a whole range of blog posts and so on out there as well, which go into more detail than what I have at the moment, but hopefully that will help you structure your story a little better. So I'll see you next time, guys. Good luck, and may the force be with you.
And thank you.